Welcome to the 2026 Los Angeles Auto Show, one of the final big auto shows of the year. Let's take a look at the new cars, trucks, and SUVs on display and get a preview of what the automotive industry has in store for us next year. This show is absolutely massive. There are two main halls packed with elaborate manufacturer displays and vehicles everywhere you look. Walking in through the main entrance, the first booth we come across is Hyundai. They're showcasing a variety of XRT models, including the Ioniq 5 and the new Palisade, along with some rugged, off-road-inspired versions of their lineup. Since this event is so huge, this video will be more of a quick overview rather than a deep dive into every vehicle. If we went into too much detail, this could easily turn into a 3-hour video. Think of this as a fast-paced preview of what's coming next year. At the Hyundai booth, there's a press conference happening, and front and center is the refreshed Ioniq 6N. The updated design looks fantastic, especially in that pearl blue paint. And the rear wing? It's massive. It's mounted high, similar to a Porsche GT3 style wing, giving the car a properly aggressive look. This all-electric performance sedan is the sibling to the Ioniq 5N, and it continues Hyundai's push to make EVs fun and engaging without venturing into hypercar price territory. With simulated shifting and other performance-focused features from the N division, this is shaping up to be a seriously exciting EV. I'm really looking forward to driving it, especially after how much I enjoyed the 5N. Hyundai's display is decked out in bold blue and red accents, and they've even brought racing simulators for attendees to try. There's a lot going on, but since the press conference area is crowded and noisy, we'll move along and explore some of the other booths while they're a bit quieter. There's even a small soccer activity area. Maybe if you score a goal, you win a car. Just kidding, probably. They're also unveiling some sort of concept vehicle nearby, which we'll check out later. Next up is the Genesis booth, showcasing the premium luxury side of the Hyundai-Kia group with a clean, upscale lineup. Over at Toyota's display, we see the new CHR. Toyota's recent design direction has been impressive. It really started to turn heads with the latest Prius, and the styling has carried through nicely. There are a few Prius models on display, and I'm sure we'll spot a new RAV4 somewhere in the booth as well, since that's one of their latest reveals. There's also a GR86 that appears to be a drift car built for an upcoming drifting movie. As usual, Toyota's booth is enormous, filled with a wide variety of vehicles. Then there's the BZ Time Attack car, which looks like it's competing in a giant rear wing contest. The aero setup is wild, with an absolutely massive wing and an aggressive body kit. One of the coolest builds here has to be the Turbo Trail Cruiser. It's a 1985 Land Cruiser FJ60 that's been fitted with a modern twin-turbo V6 from a Tundra. Classic looks combined with modern power. That's a seriously interesting mix. That's one of the great things about auto shows. It's not just like walking through a dealership showroom with the latest production models. You get wild concepts, performance builds, custom creations, and a glimpse into where the industry is headed, all under one roof. There are some really cool concepts and one-off builds here, along with plenty of practical family vehicles. Welcome to Minivan Central. But seriously, where's the new RAV4? I see one on a poster, but I want to check out the actual car in person. Ah, here's one of the versions. That looks really good. I genuinely like the new styling. It's clean, modern, and sharp. Now we move into Toyota's fun corner. There's the GR Corolla, a great little hot hatch, along with the GR86 and the Supra. Sadly, the Supra is on its way out, RIP. It had a solid run. Over in the SUV section, there's even a Tacoma dressed in Lakers colors, which feels very appropriate considering we're at the LA Auto Show. Then there's a pretty amusing face-off display, the TRD Pro 4Runner versus an off-road themed Chrysler Pacifica. It's staged right between the Stellantis and Toyota booths. So the question is, If you had to pick one for off-roading, which would it be? There are a couple of forerunners here, a Sequoia in the back, and the new Land Cruiser. Speaking of the Land Cruiser, which headlight design do you prefer? The heritage-style half-circle look or the more modern, blocky Lego brick design? As you can tell, Toyota's booth is massive. They've got everything covered, from fuel-efficient, family-oriented vehicles to enthusiast cars and tough trucks. The big new highlight for them is the RAV4, which is the latest addition to their lineup. That's a quick overview of what Toyota has going on. Now over at Dodge, this is the new Charger Scat Pack 6-pack. Finally, there's a gas engine back under the hood of the Charger, the Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6. We recently drove this car at the tail of the Dragon. It puts out 550 horsepower and comes with all-wheel drive. It's big and heavy, but it's also about 1,000 pounds lighter than the EV version, which makes a big difference. And most importantly, it makes real gas-powered engine noises. It's actually a lot of fun. You get features like line lock, launch control, and even a full rear-wheel drive mode for drifting. Despite its size, it handled surprisingly well on the Dragon. This green color is really sharp too. The one I drove was in Peel Out, a bright, vibrant orange that stood out against the fall scenery. But this green feels more subtle and refined. I really like it. The big question is, will we see a Hemi V8 return to the Charger? I wouldn't be surprised. I'd even put money on it. Next to it is the EV version, the four-door Charger Daytona. The electric model features a front pass-through wing because it channels air over the top, whereas the gas-powered version needs airflow into the engine. So the front-end designs are slightly different to serve those purposes. The Durango is still around too, and yes, the Hellcat Durango jailbreak version is still available. So they're continuing to offer big, supercharged V8s. Very American. As for Chrysler, the brand is now essentially down to one vehicle, the Pacifica, and technically the Voyager as a variation of it. But check this out. A Pacifica concept built to look off-road ready. It has a roof rack, chunky tires, a lift kit, and a flat gray finish. The interior looks fairly normal, but the exterior gives it a rugged, adventurous vibe. Can minivans be cool? I think so. Something like this is actually kind of fun. It makes you wonder why Chrysler doesn't build something like a new 300 on this platform. Historically, there was a lot of platform sharing within the family, and bringing back a sedan could give the brand more identity instead of relying solely on a minivan. Over at Ram, there's a lot happening. Ram is returning to NASCAR, and Hemi engines are back in the Ram trucks. The RHO features the high-output Hurricane engine, but the big question is whether the TRX will make a comeback. Since they've already reintroduced the Hemi into the Ram lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if the TRX returns as well. They're also showcasing new Hemi badging for the Ram trucks, and it looks fantastic. Ram does branding and marketing extremely well. It's bold, clear, and unmistakably confident. It's interesting, though, because the Hemi in the Ram 1500 is actually more expensive, less efficient, and makes less power than the newer Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6. On paper, the Hurricane is the better engine. But at the end of the day, a lot of buyers just want that V8 sound, rumble, and feel, and I completely understand that. I had a Hemi e-torque Ram 1500 Laramie a couple of years ago, and there's just something about a V8 truck that feels right. Moving over to Alfa Romeo, they're showcasing the Giulia, the Tonale, which recently received a small refresh, and the ultra-rare 33 Straight Ale. That car is incredibly exclusive, extremely expensive, and absolutely stunning. It's one of those cars you just stand and stare at. I kind of wish Alfa would build something like a Maserati MC20-based supercar that's a bit more attainable. Not cheap, but maybe in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. something that shares the platform within the family, but gives Alfa a true halo car that isn't quite as rare or expensive as the 33 Stradale. That would be a really exciting move for the brand. As it stands, though, the Giulia and Tonale are the core of Alfa's lineup. Now over at Jeep, things are busy. They're launching a lot of new vehicles, and one of the biggest reveals here is the Recon. Think of it as a baby Wrangler, but fully electric. Before anyone immediately dismisses it because it's an EV, consider this. It makes 650 horsepower. The doors come off, the windows are removable, the rear glass can come out. It keeps that classic Jeep open-air experience. Visually, it looks like it's about 75 to 80% the size of a Wrangler, and it's trail-rated, meaning it's built for real off-road capability, including water fording and everything else you'd expect from a Jeep that looks like this. Pricing is on the higher side, and I haven't driven it yet. They just revealed it here this week, but it definitely has presence. The illuminated grille up front is a cool touch. There's also the Camp Jeep experience setup, where you can ride along in a Wrangler or possibly a Gladiator to see the off-road capabilities in action. That's one of the great things about modern auto shows. It's no longer just a static display. There are interactive experiences and test drives that really bring the vehicles to life. Back to the Recon, though. I'm genuinely interested in driving it. The interior is impressive, too. It has a bit of a Land Rover Defender vibe, especially with the screen layout and overall design. Jeep hasn't stopped there. The Cherokee has been refreshed, and the Grand Wagoneer has also been updated. They've simplified the naming by dropping the standalone Wagoneer badge in certain trims, so it's now just Grand Wagoneer. The updates include subtle tweaks to the front-end styling and lighting, including a new daytime running light signature. The interior remains largely the same, but the overall look is cleaner and more streamlined. Wrangler models continue on as well with special editions and new versions. Then there's the Wagoneer S, which is surprisingly quick. Put it in sport mode, even with traction control on, and it'll do a rolling burnout. That honestly caught me off guard. The refreshed Grand Cherokee now offers a Hurricane turbocharged inline-4, replacing the previous V6. It's an interesting move, downsizing the engine but adding forced induction and modern tech. It'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to that change. Over at Maserati, they're displaying the Gran Turismo Trofeo, the all-electric Gran Cabrio Folgore, and the MC Pura, a light refresh of the MC20. It's still absolutely gorgeous. The paint color on this one is wild, especially in direct sunlight. The styling is dramatic and unmistakably Italian. The interior has received a mild refresh as well, but as always with Maserati, it's all about style and presence. I haven't driven the MC Pura yet, but I have driven the MC20, and it's genuinely a blast. It looks incredible and delivers an equally engaging driving experience. We're looking at a proper supercar here. Carbon fiber tub, mid-engine layout, dramatic doors that swing upward. It checks all the boxes. Alongside it is the Grecale, rounding out the current Maserati lineup on display. From there, we make our way to Volvo. They're celebrating 70 years in the United States, and their booth even has a coffee station set up inside a massive, beautifully branded Volvo bus. We'll step inside that in a moment. On display outside is the EX90, along with the new EX30 Cross Country, which I actually drove yesterday, and it's a blast. The EX30. Cross Country gets knobbier all-terrain tires, a slightly lifted suspension, and a redesigned front fascia with a really cool topographical texture. It has nearly perfect 50-50 weight distribution and produces 422 horsepower. For a small, fully electric crossover, it's seriously fun to drive. Now let's head inside that Volvo bus. It's a great setup. They're showcasing decades of safety innovations. Everything from the original 3-point seatbelt to head restraints and other breakthroughs Volvo has pioneered over the years. There's also a timeline of the Volvo story, a display featuring Bowers and Wilkins premium audio, and a collection of historic pieces like old seat belts, badges, logo evolutions, and even the progression of key fobs. Today, some of their newest EVs just use a simple card or compact key device. It's a really thoughtful exhibit celebrating Volvo's heritage in the US. Volvo is, of course, known for safety above all else. They're displaying a stripped-down safety cage structure of the EX90 to highlight the different materials used throughout the vehicle to protect occupants. You can see the progression of materials from standard mild steel to high-strength, extra-high-strength, and ultra-high-strength steel, each used strategically in different parts of the structure. Another big update from Volvo. For the 2026 model year, the EX90 is moving to an 800-volt architecture, which means even faster charging. That's a significant improvement. They've also been updating their infotainment system with the new Volvo UX, powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon, bringing more advanced tech to the Swedish brand. Directly across from Volvo is the Nissan booth. On display are models like the Murano and Pathfinder. I was told there's something particularly interesting in the new Pathfinder, a next-generation wireless charger. At first, that might not sound exciting, but this one upgrades from 5 watts to 15 watts and includes a built-in cooling fan. Inside, you'll notice a magnetic charging puck. Your phone snaps into place and stays secure, no more sliding around while driving. The magnet is surprisingly strong, and the cooling fan helps prevent overheating, especially at the higher charging speeds. It's a small detail, but a genuinely useful upgrade. There's also a Heritage Edition Nissan Z in a fantastic color combination. The paint shifts beautifully depending on the lighting, and the wheels really complete the look. Nearby is the Armada Pro 4X. I was curious if there might be an Armada Nismo version here, but I don't see one on display. There's also the Kicks, which definitely stands out with its bright color options. One of the biggest highlights for Nissan is the new Leaf. It brings some impressive updates and has effectively replaced the Aria, which has been discontinued. The Leaf is now Nissan's primary EV offering, and it starts at under $30,000, making it one of the more affordable new EVs on the market. Even better, it offers around 303 miles of range, which is very usable for daily driving. I especially like the blue color on display. Another clever feature is the dual charging ports. On one side, you can charge using the Tesla-style NACS connector, and on the other side, there's the conventional charging port. That flexibility is a big plus. They're also showing the refreshed Sentra, another affordable and practical option in Nissan's lineup. Overall, it's a mix of innovation, value, and some fun enthusiast touches throughout the booth. In a world where the average new car costs over $50,000, it's actually refreshing to see manufacturers offering more reasonably priced options again. Not everyone can afford a $1,000 a month payment or drop $50,000 on a daily driver. That's why cars like the Nissan Sentra matter. The refreshed Sentra brings updated styling, a nicer interior, and improved tech. The dual-screen setup for the infotainment system and digital gauge cluster gives it a more premium feel than you might expect at this price point. The powertrain mostly carries over, but overall, it feels like a solid, modern, affordable sedan. Now, you might notice something interesting in the Nissan booth, a Mitsubishi Outlander. But look closer. This is actually the new Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid. Thanks to the Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance, they're sharing platforms and powertrains. At first, I thought Nissan would simply fit this plug-in system into the existing Rogue design, but it looks like they've essentially reworked and rebranded the Outlander plug-in hybrid as the Rogue plug-in hybrid. There are some Nissan-specific styling tweaks, especially around the rear badging and design details, but underneath, the shared DNA is clear. Still, adding a plug-in hybrid option to the Rogue lineup is a big win. I'll actually be driving it soon, and based on my experience with the Outlander plug-in hybrid, I'm expecting a pretty solid overall package. It might seem like we're moving quickly, but we've only covered a small portion of the show so far. There's still an entire second hall packed with vehicles, so we're trying to keep things moving. Next up is Chevrolet. The booth features plenty of trucks, but also some important updates. This small blue car here is the refreshed Chevy Bolt. The Bolt nameplate continues as an affordable all-electric option with updated styling and a lightly revised interior. However, GM is moving away from Apple CarPlay, not just in EVs, but across more of their lineup. That decision may disappoint some buyers as smartphone integration has become an expected feature. That said, the Bolt remains an affordable and practical EV. It's a stark contrast to some of the larger electric vehicles on display, like the Silverado EV, which is huge and significantly more expensive. The Bolt offers a reasonable size and price point, making it one of the more accessible EVs on the market. Alongside it, Chevy now has a growing electric lineup that includes the Blazer EV and Equinox EV, with Cadillac adding its own EV models to the mix. And then there's something truly eye-catching, the Corvette CX concept. This is a glimpse into what the future of Corvette could look like. They recently revealed a version of it at the Quail, and there's even a race car variant. It looks absolutely wild. Chevrolet has been experimenting with several futuristic Corvette concepts, and this might be my favorite so far. It has a spaceship-like design while still incorporating recognizable Corvette cues. The fighter jet-style canopy opens upward, and there's a modern reinterpretation of the Corvette crossed flags logo. It genuinely looks like a hypercar. Around the back, there's a massive active rear wing, exposed rear tires, aggressive aerodynamics, and forged carbon fiber everywhere. Even the taillights subtly echo traditional Corvette shapes. It's still just a concept, but if Corvette continues moving in this direction, the future looks incredibly exciting. Of course, there are also Corvettes here that you can actually buy and drive today. The Z06 is on display, and I'll admit I'm a bit biased. I absolutely love this car. I've put many happy miles on mine. The one here features the exposed carbon Z07 package and looks fantastic in orange. It's a reminder that while the future may look wild and futuristic, the current Corvette lineup is already delivering serious performance right now. Oh, that right there is the CXR, the race car concept version of the Corvette. And yes, it's going to be featured in Gran Turismo, so you'll actually be able to drive it in a virtual setting. That's pretty cool for anyone who wants to experience it, even if it's just in a video game. Now, if we walk around to the other side, we come face to face with the current king of the Corvette lineup, the ZR1X. The X signifies all-wheel drive, thanks to a hybridized front axle derived from the E-Ray system, but turned up even further. You get 1,064 horsepower from the twin-turbo LT7 V8 alone, plus the additional power from the front electric motor. Combined, that brings total output to an absurd 1,250 horsepower. That's just mind-blowing. I've driven the regular ZR1, and it's already outrageous. I can only imagine what the ZR1X feels like. This one is equipped with the ZTK Performance Package, which includes an enormous carbon fiber rear wing. It's absolutely massive, almost comically so. And with that level of power, braking becomes just as important as acceleration. So it's been upgraded with Alcon carbon ceramic brakes to handle the added performance. The matte silver finish on this car is stunning. If I'm not mistaken, this might be the special edition that debuted at the Quail. The matte paint really gives it a stealthy high-end look. Performance-wise, this is firmly in supercar territory, arguably even hypercar levels. But I hesitate to call it a full hypercar because that term usually implies extreme rarity and exclusivity, beyond just raw performance. After all, it still shares taillights and a badge with the standard Corvette Stingray, which is an incredible sports car but not a hypercar. Still, what this car delivers is astonishing. It's honestly an amazing time to be a car enthusiast, especially with American manufacturers building machines like this. The ZR1X has reportedly lapped the Nürburgring in 6 minutes and 49 seconds. That's wild. Nearby, there's also a Super Cruise experience simulator. Super Cruise is GM's hands-free driving system, so in the demo, you basically sit back and let the simulator handle things. It's actually one of my favorite hands-free systems currently available. It works incredibly well. Moving on, we arrive at the Lincoln booth, which feels calm and upscale. The presentation is elegant and relaxing. On display are models like the updated Navigator, the Aviator, and the Nautilus. I spent some time with the Nautilus recently and was genuinely impressed. The styling is sharp, and the interior feels luxurious and thoughtfully designed. And those wheels on the Navigator, they look fantastic. Subaru always puts together one of the most creative displays at auto shows. They've set up a massive immersive screen experience featuring national park scenery. Even the floor is a screen. The whole booth has a nature-inspired theme, complete with scenic visuals and outdoor elements. And yes, there are puppies. Subaru partners with local shelters and attendees can interact with adoptable dogs. They've done similar setups at other shows like Chicago. Honestly, who doesn't love puppies? The immersive design continues with a national park-style structure surrounding the vehicle lineup. It's a cool contrast to the enthusiast corner of the booth,